Welcome everybody back to Tapped in 209. My name is Drew Smith here with Alvin and K Mud, and as well as our special guest, Adam Lichter. Adam, how are you doing tonight?
Doing well.
There we go. Adam, if you want to go ahead and just introduce yourself a little bit for everybody that doesn't know you.
Yeah, so I'm Adam Lichter. I'm the athletic director at St. Mary's High School. Longtime basketball coach. Before that, I was a parish administrator for a year, vice principal, academic counselor, kind of done, I feel like everything in education. But yeah, I'm the athletic director here at St. Mary's now, and I'm thrilled to be here. It's almost been a decade, and I feel like I am where I'm supposed to be. So that's pretty much me.
There we go. A couple things is what sports we want to go. We kind of want to go all the way back in your kind of history, if that's
Perfect.
okay with
No,
you.
that
Like
Yeah.
sports that you kind of enjoy, that growing up, and
yeah, no.
stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean I played every sport imaginable when I was a kid here in Stockton. There wasn't much to do, obviously. So I had an older brother that was 6 years older than me. So he used to beat up on me on in pretty much every sport. We lived in a court, which was really cool. So we got to play played baseball, played football, played basketball, pretty much anything we can. But yeah, I specialized in basketball. I played football, basketball, and baseball at Lincoln High School, which is funny because that's our rival.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah, but I was there, at Lincoln High School. I was a point guard 4 years. Had a pretty good run. We were the first ever SJ2A champion at Lincoln my senior year, so which was really cool. Also had some really good teams, for football those years in the early 2000s. So I played my freshman and sophomore year, and then just like every kid, you kind of start to specialize a little bit, and I kind of veered off football and veered off baseball and just played basketball. I got a partial scholarship
Oh,
to Florida Southern to go there and play basketball
oh,
at Lincoln High School, which is a Division II school, which for me, I thought that was pretty good.
yeah.
And except reality sunk in when I showed up on campus and I wasn't as big as I probably looked on the film. I was there for a year. Obviously didn't work out. Then I went and played at College of Alameda for Myron Jordan, which was a longtime Stag coach, and then he was the athletic director and the basketball coach at College of Alameda, where I believe Gary Payton is the coach there now,
Oh, wow.
which is cool. So I went there for a year, and then I started my family. I started really young. Me and my wife got married. I was 21. She was 20. We started having kids, and there went basketball. And had to grow up fast, and be an adult. But I found love into coaching. I love basketball so much. I ended up starting to coach for the Stockton Mavericks, which is funny because I'm coaching the Stockton Mavericks right now. I'm seventh grade team, which my son's on. And I started coaching there, and I coached my sister-in-law, who was, ended up being a Division I basketball player at Houston Baptist University.
Hmm.
She also went to Lincoln, but I started coaching her in fifth grade. So
Wow.
so I was there for a couple of years, and then I transitioned to coach at Stag High School for 2 years.
Oh,
Um, and then I had about 3 years off of coaching. Me and my wife moved to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
wow.
It was the only time in my life basketball wasn't a part of actually my life for those 3 years. When we moved back, I immediately got back into coaching. I coached the Edison girls JV team at the time, Wayman Strickland, if you guys know who
Oh,
that
I
is.
know Wayman. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Skylar's dad.
yeah, Skylar's
Yeah.
Okay.
dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and Wayman is a Division II basketball coach and has been for what I think last 8, 10 years at Stanislaus State University. So I was there for a year. He moved on to go to Delta to take an assistant job, and then I became the varsity coach, and then I was there for 2 years, and then I got the call to be the varsity coach at Brookside Christian, where I went over there, and I was there for 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
There we
and
go.
I was a varsity coach there. I was in three section title games, which I feel was good. One NorCal championship game. I think I won. I mean, no one's counting, I think I won about 120 games. I think I lost 30, so I coached about 150 at the varsity boys level.
Yeah, that's
So,
fantastic.
so I had a
Yeah.
really good run there. I had a really good staff. I had really good kids. So it definitely wasn't just me. It was, I built a good staff there, and we did really well, in those 6 years. And then obviously, the history is I moved on to St. Mary's High School as the athletic director, and I put the whistle away for a while. And I'm privileged enough that Scooter Bloom, you said, hey, why don't you get back into coaching? Some Mavericks. So I've been coaching Mavericks the last 2 years, so that's been nice. And so yeah, so that's kind of my life, and my basketball journey, I would say. And then now to the athletic, being an athletic director.
All right.
Yeah. Um, while coaching or even playing, like, did you have any mentors that you looked up to?
You know, I did. I had a really good father. I mean, first and foremost, I had a really good dad at home. So I think that's he was probably my mentor, looking up to someone. Wasn't very good at basketball, but he was always there for me. He took me to all the tournaments. I was on the original Stockton Maverick team uh,
Yeah.
when the Mavericks first started in the 90s, when AAU was just
Hmm.
starting. And and having my dad there to take me to everything, because as you know, there wasn't a lot of Stockton stuff, so we were in the Bay Area
Right.
every week. I want to say almost every weekend we were in the Bay Area. I
Wow.
so it
Oof.
starts off as my dad as my mentor, just being a great father figure. But then I've had some great coaches along the way. I had Coach Chris Curtis was a coach of mine when I was in third grade, and he coached me all the way to eighth grade pretty much. And he taught me the grit and how hard to play basketball. And he coached a lot of people, and there's a lot of disciples of Coach Curtis right now that are out there.
Hmm.
He was just one of those guys that pushed you to the next level. And then I would say Jim Brusa. He is the AD, or he was the AD for 20 years before me. And he's been a mentor in the sense that he's the president, and he's taught me so much stuff when it comes down to being an athletic director. And so I would say probably Jimmy's probably definitely a mentor as well.
Yeah, for
All
sure.
right.
Okay, Mud, go ahead and take it away.
All right. I'd like to know what inspired you to become an athletic director.
Um, well, I love sports. I think that was evident. That was the number one reason. But I think
Hmm.
more than loving sports it was a chance to educate as well. I didn't realize how much probably that it has to do with you're dealing with adults, uh, kids. Because I got into this business for kids. My dad, once again, I'm gonna go back to him. He was a teacher. My mom was too. So we were kind of educators. I was an educator by trade, just being around it from my parents. So, I knew I wanted to get into education. That's how I became a teacher, and I started the process of, that. And then I just said, hey, I mean, being an athletic director is great. And then when Jim Brusa moved on to be the president, it was a perfect opportunity because I believe St. Mary's is kind of the pillar athletically around the area for sure.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
absolutely 100% agree. Um, Alvin, go ahead.
Yeah. What would you say is the most rewarding part of being an athletic director at St. Mary's? Or,
Um,
you've been at Brookside too, so
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, but at St. Mary's, I mean, seeing seeing our kids succeed, playing. I've been a part of 25 section titles in my 9 years. So
yeah.
um there's only two there's only two teams in the section that have more section titles than St. Mary's does since I've been there in my tenure. And I've got to enjoy, watching the success of, all my teams. And it's just, it's not about you. It's not about me as the athletic director. It's about hiring the right coaching staff,
Right.
and then the coaching staff getting the most out of the players. And you're really only as good as the players. So it's fun to
Yeah.
watch them and, join those blue banners. There's nothing like it. I mean, I loved it as a coach when I won one, but uh,
Yeah.
there's nothing like watching the success of your coaches, because I'm invested in my coaches, and I love all of them. So watching them succeed is like I'm succeeding on my own. So that's
That's
probably the most rewarding part.
that's great. I think you already touched a little bit on this dealing with adults, but what's the biggest challenge that people might not realize that comes with being an AD?
Um, I would say the long hours. I don't
Mm,
think anybody understands. Like I just got home from this, and I was I was at work at 7:45, and
yeah,
I get home at 8 o'clock. Some nights 9 o'clock. On a Friday, it's 8 to 10. So
yeah,
the challenge is, you have to set some time, for your family too and stuff like that.
right,
Not always been my strong suit, because when you're competitive, when you're a coach, when you're
right,
athletic director, you want to be the best athletic director of anybody in the area.
right,
I mean, how do you do that? You do that by outworking them. So that's a hard thing. I think the long hours is hard, but I think, yeah, definitely parents. I mean, parents can be challenging, and I'm a parent of five. I'm a parent of five, so I understand how it is to be a parent and how much I love my children. So, you know, parents only have their
right,
view, where a coach or an athletic director has the team view. But it's hard for parents. So, those are the hard conversations you have to have, with parents. And it's not always pleasurable to have to tell a parent, hey, your kid's not playing because of this, X, Y, and Z.
right,
Not easy, because
yeah,
it's not recreation anymore, but
right,
you care about every kid. So it's hard. That's the
right.
hard part, probably.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah, and just to touch on like what you literally just said was like you have to talk to parents and say like your kid's just not going to play, right? And but going into the next question, like how I don't know how well or how much you are into like the educational part of it, like making sure kids have the GPA right and are setting aside time for school. Like how do you balance that? Make sure that kids are being on the field and are being competitive, but as well as keeping their grades up.
Yeah, so I'm a hugely data-driven guy. So our GPA last year, so I break down every single athlete's GPA. We had 682 athletes at St. Mary's last year, and we had 800 and something. So that's, what is that? That's 80 something percent, of our student body at least played one sport. So I broke down every single one of those, their unweighted GPAs, and between an athletic department, we were a 3.52. So
Mm,
that, I think I might be just as proud of that than I am the championships in a lot of ways. It
yeah,
shows that our kids are getting prepared academically. But our coaches do a fairly good job, some better than others, at doing GPA checks. We run those checks in our office. We have some that do study hall. But yeah, I mean, academic, it's student first. And to be totally honest with you, at our school, it's spirituality first.
right,
We're a Catholic school, and we're not just a Catholic school by name. Um, at the end of the day, it's spirituality first, being a good person, having great character, that kind of stuff's important to me. And I think I try to portray that, and I try to show that, in my own life, but I also want my coaches to do that. And I think, that's number one. And then obviously academic. And then we do get a lot of talented kids at St. Mary's. So, the third takes care of itself.
Yeah, for sure.
just
You talk about go ahead.
I was gonna touch on that. So we have, next year's incoming freshmen. Hopefully there's some parents that are sitting and watching this. What advice would you give to these incoming freshmen that are looking to play a sport?
Um, well, let your kid find his way, and not helicopter, because at the end of the day, and me and my wife talk about this on a consistent basis. I love all my kids. Some are, out of my five kids, I have some that are more athletic than the others. But at the end of the day, I've always told the coaches, because I've had three daughters that are at St. Mary's and that have played, now have played sports at St. Mary's. Let them do it. It's their journey. It's not yours. And I think so many parents want it so bad for their kids,
Yeah,
they almost do them a disservice. And I remember I watch a lot of videos on on motivation and things like that. And the worst thing a parent can do is when a kid comes in the car after a long game of getting probably yelled at by the coach, and now they're yelled at by the parent. And that just mentally, that's not good.
Yeah.
You need to be a parent and you need to say, okay, I understand. I want them to be the best, but you kind of got to be their cheerleader a little bit, and
Yeah.
it's hard. I have a seventh grade son right now, and I want him to be good. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, at what cost? And I'm not saying don't practice as much as you can and do that as a parent, and
Yeah.
and push them, but trust the process. I think that's another thing is,
Gotcha.
trust the process. Trust the coaches that you're coming into, and let them coach, and then move on from there.
All right.
For sure. My next question is kind of going into leadership and character. You talked about it a little bit in just the spirituality and the academics throughout St. Mary's and stuff like that. But how much does like athletics play? Because you have those people that are just natural born leaders and stuff like that on the field. But what does that do for those kids that aren't?
Well, leadership's huge. We all know that. And I think in some sports we have better leaders than others. Right now we're early in a football season and we want to see who our leader's going to be. So that's what our coach's job is to do is, to build young minds and try to get them to become leaders. And, I think, I hired the coaches and they
Yeah.
lead by example. And then they have to basically show that, hey, you got to get this leadership qualities as well. It's almost like a point guard or a quarterback. They got to be able to be a leader on the floor or on the field. So yeah, we're constantly pushing that, integrity, character, leadership, hard work. All those things are, that's what gets us over the edge. And I think that's what gets us to win section championships, are those qualities. But yeah, it's we're consistently working on that. And I'll call kids down and I'll tell them, hey, you need to be a leader.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Good. Good. Let's see. When you're, what qualities do you look for when you're hiring coaches?
I was actually just talking to my coach, one of my coaches today. And gone are the days that the new generation, there's not a lot of coaches that like to grind. But
Right.
have that I'll do anything to win. As far as I'm going to outwork you, I'm going to out scout you. We have huddle, we have all these tools. Like I want to hire coaches. That's what I look for. How hard are
Right.
you going to work? How hard, are you going to watch, film on Sundays, for 4 or 5 hours? Where like, I'm going to tell you, our football coaches, I go to their Sunday night meetings.
Yeah.
They are consistently thinking, and a lot of them have jobs outside of because they're not educators by trade. I guarantee at their jobs, I hope I don't get any of them in trouble, but I guarantee they're watching film. They grind, they work
Yeah.
hard, and I think being able to grind and work hard is probably the biggest thing that I look for in
Yeah.
a coach, because that, you don't have to be the best sometimes, but if you work the hardest, you can
Get a
outwork your
show.
opponent. And I see that with some of my coaches for sure that they put the hours in. So
Yeah.
and they reap the benefits.
Great. Great. Um, how do you handle conflicts when they arise with coaches, athletes, and parents? I know, with my kids that I played at St. Mary's, it was always, hey, kid, athlete needs to go talk to the coach,
Mhm.
right? And then if that's not working, then the parents can come in and talk to coach. And then if that's not working, then you have the meeting with,
The
the
athletic
athletic director,
director.
the coach, and athlete and the parents.
Yep. And then if it doesn't
So
go there, it
if
goes
that doesn't work,
to be totally honest with you, that's what we want. We want our athletes to do it first.
right,
Because we talked about leadership just a few questions ago. That's the leadership right there is, we all as parents want to be able to, to to be able to help guide them, but
right,
it's their job originally,
yeah,
to do that. So we're trying to teach young leaders to speak up. Closed mouths don't get fed. Um, and if they don't get what they like, then I do encourage the parent to go to the coach and then come to me. I mean, conflict isn't something that anybody I think really, really likes. Like I said, if I could see every single player, at St. Mary's play every minute, I'd love
Hmm.
that. I'd love to
Yeah.
have, I mean, in the perfect world, everybody, yeah, I want to see everybody succeed. I don't want to see just certain kids succeed or this or that,
Right.
but life, sports are a microcosm of life, and life is
Right.
life is really hard. Alvin. I mean, you're older. I mean, these are two young guys
Yeah.
next to us, but life is hard. Life is not easy. Things don't go your way, you know,
Right.
and you have to step up sometimes, and
You got to grind out here too.
you got to grind out. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we got to teach their kids that as well. So yeah.
Right. Right.
Go
So
ahead, K Mud.
So we've touched based on how St. Mary's was religious first. Like, how does sports bring the community together?
It's a great question. Sports, just go to our football games and you'll see. I mean, it's so much fun. I mean, it's fun. It's I feel bad for the academians sometimes because they don't get a lot of credit as far as sports are always highlighted. Why is that? Because sports are really fun, and they
yeah.
do bring the community together. You bring the cheer moms and dads and the drill moms and dads and the football players, and the green machine. Like I said, I just dealt with them being lunatics out there. They're out
That's
there,
part of it.
they're cheering it. Yeah, that's part of it. But everybody is, you're kind of all rowing in the same direction for your team. And I'm a huge Pittsburgh Steeler fan, so I can tell you, I love sport. I love the Steelers. We're willing to do anything for that's how it is. I mean, it's that excitement that drives it, and I think that's what is just so great about sports, and watching a team lose and the heartbreak that you have. And trust me, I've had
Yeah.
in these 9 years, we've lost some section championship games that my heart has been in my feet. But that's a part of life, that
Yeah.
you're gonna lose sometimes. How do you deal with losing? And how do you deal with winning? When you win, are you just you're gonna talk smack after you win to someone who's down? No,
Yeah.
that's what you do. So yeah, I hope that answered your question. But yeah, I mean, as far as community,
Hmm.
I think it brings every community together, and it's not just St. Mary's. I mean, the Lincoln community comes together to beat St. Mary's, so they get really excited, and the Edison, you know,
Yeah.
beat us in the Mega Bowl, and it's just there's so much excitement, and I think that's probably the most exciting part of my job is going to those games and watching the excitement.
Awesome.
Going off the green machine, like, what else makes a program unique? Like, what traditions make it unique?
What traditions make you unique? I think the
Hmm.
Green Machine for sure. I mean, the Green Machine's been good.
Yeah.
The Green Machine since I was a player. So when I was a player, I remember they were called the Morelli Maniacs at that time.
Wow.
They were the Morelli Maniacs, and I
That's
remember
awesome.
my junior year, they painted their chest Lichter Who. So Lichter is my last name, and then on the back they did Who with a bunch of marks on it, and it was
Yeah.
it was so much fun. That was so much fun for a competitor like me. It was so much fun. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean,
They
that's the exciting part.
they really do their homework. I remember a couple years
Yeah.
ago we were playing Lincoln, and there was a kid who had transferred from Tokay to Lincoln, and they wrote on their "Hey Q, go back to Tokay."
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, now you're doing your homework.
Yeah. No, yeah. No,
Good
exactly.
stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. As long as they don't go below the belt, like I said,
Yes.
as long as they're
Yes.
having fun,
Hmm.
I think that's all good fun for sure.
Yeah. All right. Um, Drew.
Yeah, another question is like how is it keeping alumni engaged? Like, I mean, it's a little bit different. Like, I don't really know if I can consider I definitely am an alumni,
You're an
but
alumni,
I'm
yeah.
doing this. Like,
Yes.
I'm engaged
You're
every
already
day.
invested.
But
Yeah.
for people that have graduated, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, like
Yeah.
how do you reach to keep them engaged?
Well, we got to get better at that. That's a touch point when you SWOT analysis and we do it. That's something that we have to get a little better at. But one thing is obviously social media. I mean, social
Mhm.
media is huge. That's what everybody has now. So we got to do a better job at highlighting things and getting our alumni, involved. Our tradition at St. Mary's is really second to none in the area. I mean, I guarantee no one remembers that in 2002 and three, no Lincoln person knew that we were the first SJ2A title, but every St. Mary's person pretty much knows, you know, how many
Yeah,
state titles the girls team has. I mean, that's so, but we have to get even better at that. And we have to, we're going to have to do a little bit better job as far as me as an athletic director of social media. We have a really good social media following with Stephanie DeLuca. She does a great job. Um, and she does that and she gets people involved.
yeah,
I think our office needs to help, definitely piggyback that a little bit with Steph to get it better. But yeah, I think that's how you bring them together.
yeah.
I've tried to do we've done alumni nights, at football games where we brought back
Mhm.
teams that were really successful. I think that's a really good thing that we've done, and I think we need to continue that. I mean, you played baseball, Drew, so like bringing back some of your good baseball teams.
Yeah.
You're awful young, but maybe that in 8 or 9 years, I bring you back, and you get your team back. That I think those are the things that keep keep you involved. Uh, I mean, obviously you have sisters,
Hmm.
here at St. Mary's, so it's a little bit easier for you. But yeah, I mean, but some of your teammates bringing them back, we have some great tradition. We got to keep that going for sure.
Great.
Yeah, for sure. I do want to give a quick shout out to Mikey Montijo as well and the broadcasting program, like
Yes.
keeping them engaged as well and running SM Rams TV and all that stuff. Like, I
There's
know
no one,
that,
there's no one better.
yeah,
There's absolutely no one better.
absolutely. That's where I've gotten everything that I know from is from
Yeah.
him and my love for this. And so, just want
He's
to give him
been
a quick
very
shout out.
helpful. He's been very helpful with our podcast, giving us feedback,
Yeah.
Mhm.
daily and getting
He's
better.
he's unbelievable. And Paul Sheep before him
Oh
was
yeah. Yeah.
unbelievable. I think we're one of the top 40 NFHS schools, in broadcasting. So,
Yeah,
and Paul started that and did a tremendous job, and then now Mike's taken over, and I mean that kind of stuff is so huge, and it makes my
yeah,
life so much easier. And it just, and it's exciting. I'm an athletic director that can't go to every game, but I mean, I can watch NFHS at times when I'm at another
yeah,
game. So it's,
Hmm.
and hearing his voice, and he got to call some good games. He got to call that section championship game, and that volleyball game, and it was great.
yeah.
He's done some good games already. So yeah, you're right, Drew. Those guys are awesome.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What goes into scheduling games and tournaments and stuff? Like, I know you sit down and you kind of do it throughout the year, right? I believe so. Like, I know you're probably starting to touch up basketball and stuff like that now, and
Yeah,
maybe
well,
baseball.
yeah, we let our coaches do it. That's one of the things. Until I do the football schedule, which and I've bitten off too much sometimes. We played modern day a couple times in Bosco, and I scaled it down a little bit. We kept getting foul on some teams, but yeah, I do the football schedule for Coach Franks. He's got enough to do, so I do that one. I help with some other ones. I help Allie, with the girls a little bit. I help Jason a little bit, yeah, in baseball, but he does majority of it. It's just, we go down south. I might know an athletic director. We went to Mater Day this last year, and
Hmm.
so I'll help with that kind of stuff. But we'll sit down and we'll talk about who we want to schedule. But yeah, the coaches, I mean, I give them the credit for that because they take the lead on,
Mm,
on that, and then they'll give it to me, and then I'll look at it and make sure it fits the calendar,
Hmm.
the way it should. But yeah, but they take the lead on that, for sure. I put it in Arbiter, obviously, so I have to get the officials. I'll put it on Max Preps, do all that kind of stuff. But as far as getting the initial games, coaches have a lot of contacts as well with other coaches, so they start the process that way. And then, if I think they're doing it wrong, which I typically don't. But if I do, then I might say, hey, let's play some stronger opponents here or there, or do something like that. But yeah, that's what it is. And then going to good tournaments is always good. The one thing I believe at St. Mary's, and I really think more than any other school, and I know other schools are going to watch this and they're going to probably say, "What are you doing? What are you talking about?" But the truth is, I believe in scheduling the hardest. And that's why we played Mater Day, and we played Bosco and Mission Viejo, and played some of those teams in football, is because that's how you learn. You learn,
yeah,
you got to get your butt kicked sometimes. to know what it feels like.
Yeah.
And so we challenge ourselves, and I think almost every coach that I have play a really rigorous schedule. We're not
Yep.
playing cupcakes. I mean, we're going to play. If we could play modern day in every sport, we would. I'm not saying we'd beat them in much, but we would play them in everything. That's just the way it is. I mean, Leo from De La Salle is a friend of mine. He knows, like, I'd play him in every sport. If you aspire to be great, you have to play the best.
Yeah.
And it's something that separates us. We're not playing little rinky-dink teams.
Right.
We're playing the best. So if you want to come to St. Mary's and play the best, if you think you're the best, well, then come to St. Mary's, because you get to see if you really are the best. And
Yeah.
it helps with college recruiting.
Right.
So honestly,
Yeah.
because if
Mhm.
you beat a team that's not very good and you score 5 touchdowns, no
You're
college
supposed to score 5
you're
touchdowns.
supposed to score 5 touchdowns. But if you score 1 touchdown against a hard-nosed De La Salle defense, that takes more to a college recruiter than scoring 5 against someone else. So, and some of our parents sometimes are like, "Man, we're scheduling hard." Yeah, that's okay though. That's what we're gonna do, because that's why you signed up to go to St. Mary's.
Right. Yep.
Play the
Absolutely.
best.
You talked about it a little bit with like managing umpires and referees and stuff like that, but how does managing budgets and resources and all that stuff for all the sports that you have going on at St. Mary's, like how much does that take up your time and how do you do it?
So I logged over 3,000 journal entries because we created
Oh,
a new, like, a QuickBooks thing. So I every dollar that comes into St. Mary's, that comes into us, I I log it, and actually Barbara and me log it together, so we have checks and balances. Then we also take it, obviously we have to take it to the business office. They log it, so we have so many checks and balances. That has, unfortunately, that's become a lot of my job as well, just because things are so expensive, and I don't
right.
think, and we are really unique at St. Mary's, where no tuition dollars goes to athletics. There's no other school I've found so far. So if you guys can find it, and I'm talking about Catholic schools, or Christian schools, we're the only school that operates like that, where
Mm,
I don't get any tuition dollars. So we have to have fees, which isn't always the best. I
yeah.
myself have to pay fees. I don't like it, but so that's why we do fundraisers and stuff to try to offset the fees for the parents.
Sure.
That's hard, Drew. I mean, budgets are hard. You're trying to
Yeah.
even it out. We're not trying to make money, because that's not our goal is not to make money in athletics. What we're trying to do, because we're a high school, we're not a college, we're just trying to even it out. So we're
Mhm.
trying
Right.
to, obviously, I sit with every coach, and they'll all speak to this when you call them in. We will, we do budgets together.
Yeah.
We basically budget what the profit, I mean, how much we're going to spend, and then that's how the fees get accrued. So it's a little different than public schools, because I came from public schools, and yeah, it's not the
You
same.
get public fun. You get public
Public
money.
funding, we don't get
Yeah.
any,
We don't get.
we get zero
Mhm.
funding.
Yep.
So
And I think a lot of people don't realize that, right?
no,
They don't.
yeah,
Everything that we have is donated or it's fundraised. And so
yeah.
the Chase Center. Yeah.
Yep.
Things
That
like
was
that.
all. That was hard work, and it wasn't me. It was before my time, and
Right.
but gosh, that's a nice center. Thanks for giving a
Oh.
plug. Thanks for
Yeah.
giving a plug. There's no better in Northern California.
Right.
Yeah, that for sure. I remember when it first went in, and I was just like, "This is the best thing that could ever happen." To like, this
It
is
was the
amazing.
Yeah.
best. It was the best thing ever, and I'm gonna do a shout out to Josh Rodriguez. He's our
J
strength coach,
Rod.
and he was my. I hired him, what, 3 years ago now. He's terrific. And when you talk
Mhm.
about outworking someone,
Yeah.
Oof.
J Rod is in there at 6 a.m. And when I'm leaving at eight or nine at night, he's leaving with me. So
Yeah.
we're both at the car. So that's, he's a huge key to the success in athletics as well.
Yeah.
He's been really working, and all of our coaches have jumped on board with it. Uh,
Right.
we used to not have basketball as much, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I know Carson could tell you, I know K Mud could tell you, he's in there. I mean, basketball's in there now, and
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Scooter's adopted the way of we're gonna be there, and he doesn't do it just a month; he does it year
No.
round.
Hmm.
Because you only see results if you do it year round.
Right.
Yeah.
So we see that J Rod works all the teams out. So he's terrific, and he's definitely helping us in athletics. And we almost beat De La Salle last year, and I want to give him credit because they're so physical up front. De La Salle, if you've watched De La Salle football,
Yep.
and we were just as physical last year, and we have smaller guys. But I think a lot of that has to do. I mean, we have terrific football coaches, but a lot of that was our guys were in shape because of J Rod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also
True.
like want to add on about this year. Like the offensive line, defensive line just looks bigger in general. Like they are just that much more dominant in just the week one that we've seen and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Like
Yeah.
definitely does a
Well,
good job.
yeah. I mean, almost 200 yards rushing, right? I think we're more than that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
All
Go ahead,
right.
Alvin.
All right. What new opportunities or programs are you working on? I know you said about the alumni trying to get them more
Yes, I
involved,
think
but
the alumni engagement stuff is definitely big. We haven't had a Hall of Fame
oh,
in
Ooh.
in a while, so I want to bring that back. So that's kind of a target item for me because I think that's great to have, to have a Hall of Fame, and bring people back in. We've had it before. It
yeah,
kind of went away. It went to advancement, and then it kind of got lost in advancement. And I mean, I don't typically have the bandwidth to do it myself, but I'd like to find like a committee that
yeah,
can do it, and I can sit on that. Jim Brusso used to have a committee that did that, and then he would just sit on that. I think Lene Moncton was on that committee, and we had some people on that committee. I'd like to reinstitute that and start that program so we can get a Hall of Fame back. Um, but I think we definitely offer way more sports than anybody locally.
yeah,
I mean, it's almost absurd because not only Lincoln has lacrosse around here, so we have to go to Sacramento, and no one has ice hockey. We know that. We have
Hmm.
and there's not many teams with beach volleyball. So like we've since I've been here, we've created three sports. We had rugby as well for a while, and we have a girl at Harvard right now that are in rugby. We have, I think, five Division I girls that are doing rugby that started at St. Mary's. So I'm really proud of that.
Ooh.
It's kind of fell by the wayside because we
yeah,
coach at the time, and our coach isn't there anymore. But that's kind of something cool about St. Mary's that you can be nimble a little bit and you can create programs. So if anybody has, this is a plug, Alvin, if anybody has a sport, I know pickleball is getting huge. So
yeah.
We actually
Came on had a good idea.
yes,
He said men's rugby, and I said
Hmm.
that would be fantastic if they did in the spring because there's a big Pacific Islander community that loves rugby. They play
yes.
rugby in the
Hmm.
spring and play football for us in the fall.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
that?
Jesuit does that. Or I'm
Okay.
not sure if they
Hmm.
still do it, but they definitely did do it. So it's something that is definitely, hey, if we can get the guys to do it, all I gotta do is find a coach and we can start it.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. All right. Still on that, if you could add, I mean, I guess we talked about a little bit, any other sport, what would you add?
uh Add as far as what? As
I
far as how
mean,
good we are?
yeah, I mean, we have pretty much everything,
I
it's
mean,
like
well, yeah. I mean, I don't know if I can add another sport. I don't know. I definitely can.
not in the budget.
Uh,
Not in the budget.
definitely not. So yeah, I think rugby for sure would be a good one. But
That
other
would be
than that,
awesome.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All
Uh,
right.
All
Drew,
right.
you want a
Yeah,
couple
I got
more?
one for
Yeah.
you.
We'll let Adam.
What's your favorite moment or game as your time as an
Oh,
athlete,
Ooh.
AD, or as a
there you
coach?
go.
Like if you
Yeah.
got one for each, we'd love to hear it. If you just have one on the top of your head for any of them, just we want to hear it.
Coach, obviously, section championship. Winning the section
Hmm.
championship is the culmination. Being a part of the NorCal championship game, even though we fell short, was huge. I mean, that's obviously, as a coach. As a player, beating St. Mary's was always good at the time because
Yeah.
Was that the time? Did you guys beat Michael Wright's St. Mary's
yes.
led team?
Oh
Okay.
yeah. They weren't even close. They weren't even on our level those years. But he had a really good team the sophomore year that killed us. So I mean, I can give him
Okay.
credit for that. But yeah, but I think as a player, definitely it was. Oh man, I mean, we went to the section semifinals. At that time, I was at UOP. I think
Mm,
those moments were good because it was kind of fun to play in those moments. Well, I did it twice, so, as a player, and then as an AD, I have so many. I mean, like I said, I mean, we have 25. I think I've been to majority of the
Mhm.
section championships. We had a really good run with with boys basketball. When they beat Grant those three times, those were
yeah.
unbelievable because Grant had some really good teams. So not knowing that we were going to win those games was huge. I mean, volleyball was huge. Watching them win, back to back was just unbelievable. But baseball, when we won that baseball one, I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many.
Yeah.
That's cool.
There's so many. I mean, I'd love, I'd love to say the best is yet to come. I'm hoping football. I'm hoping football. We haven't won one since I've been here, and that's one of the only sports we haven't won one since I've been there, and we've been a
We
part
were
of.
close. We were
Yeah,
close.
just
The
We've
can't
been a
get
Rocket
over
part.
was
the
We've been.
great.
hump.
We've been a
And
part of two. We've been a part of two since I've been there
Yeah.
for 9 years, and Folsom's nasty, and now
yeah.
played Folsom in my second year as an AD, and they were just nasty,
Yeah.
and then. Hmm. Uh, who else? Who else did we lose to? Oh, Rockland. That
Yeah,
was
The
the
a tough.
Rockland
Rockland
one.
one.
The
That's the
Rockland.
one that stings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
If the
that
timekeepers
stinks.
have
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean,
their act
yeah, I mean,
together.
Samson was
Yeah.
hurt. Samson was hurt. We all know that. I mean, but that it
Yeah.
Mhm.
is what it is. Good, I mean, kudos to Rockland. But yeah, I mean, Coach Franks has a good group of guys, and
Yeah.
my goal, and my hope is, before he retires, we can win. We can hang one up, and maybe even go further. So.
Yeah.
But there's so many moments. I can't pick one.
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't blame you at
And
all.
my coaches would be mad if I picked
Mhm.
one anyway.
There you go.
Yeah, for
There
sure.
you go.
What sport is the hardest to manage behind the scenes?
Um, what sport? I mean, the hardest is always going to be hockey. We have a hockey
Oh,
director,
Yeah.
but hockey, just because it's so expensive to play, and there's so many trips. I'm blessed that I have Jim's assistant, Maya Geary, has jumped in, and she does the budget stuff, and and helps with that. And we have a director that also does a coach. And that's probably the hardest that way. But I mean, football is always hard to manage as far as just there's so many people, there's so many fans in the stand.
right.
You'll see me, on the sideline with a walkie-talkie because obviously I have to talk to, the deans, and we have to. There's always a problem because fan that's upset or is this going on? I mean, that's probably the hardest to manage that way, just in the sheer numbers of things, just so many more kids. But yeah, I think I'd probably say football. Plus, that's an expensive sport too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we're charging $900, but man, that's a sport that, if you've ever bought shoulder pads or a helmet, you know how expensive those
Oh
things.
my.
So, and they just keep going up.
hmm
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I would say hardest to manage is probably football.
Okay. I got a little bit of a fun one for you. If you could trade jobs with one coach for a day, what sport would you pick?
Well, that's unfair. I mean, because obviously I'm a basketball coach by trade,
Hmm.
but I'll go away from that. I mean, Jason Lindholm. I think baseball. I have a really good relationship with Jason. He was my hire, so that it always helps when you don't inherit a hire, you actually make the hire. Another coach that he's another coach that outworks people. He's there all the time. So, watching him coach is fun, and baseball looks just like a lot, it just looks fun to coach. I
There's
love,
just a lot of
Mhm.
moving parts.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
Yeah.
think
Hmm.
I think it'd be fun to coach baseball. I think it'd be fun to coach a game of baseball. However, Jason will tell you a story. Uh, in those close games, I just don't have the heart for it. I have to close my eyes almost, and it's so much anxiety goes through those games because baseball is
Yeah.
those things that you're losing 1 minute and you just think you lost, just like the game, Drew. I'm sure
Hmm.
a couple of years ago, it looked like we lost, and then you're up, and then you're
Yep.
down, and then
Yep.
you're up. Your emotions just go. That it's not for the faint of heart.
And then you call a suicide squeeze
And
to
then you
win the
call it
game.
suicide squeeze and win the game.
Exactly. That's what, like I
Yeah. And
just
then I
thinking
call
about it
it,
when you
and you know what?
Yeah.
If that didn't work, I would have been talking to him the next day. But he was a hero that way. he has the best. He is the perfect person for a baseball coach because he's that cool cat.
Yes.
I'm not so much. I'm more a basketball yeller, screamer for sure.
Yeah, like just thinking about those games, like there's two games when I was playing when you could talk about the suicide squeeze with Tanner, and then you
Yeah.
have like the game after Roland Reyes hits his first
Home
career
run.
home run
I thought
at St.
I thought we
Mary's.
lost that game.
I
I
thought
thought
we
we
were
Yeah.
lost.
so out, and
Yeah.
then he ties it up, and then
Great.
just this last year with Dax
Oh yeah.
in that game, putting it over right center. Like I was calling that game, and I just remember like I just was feeling it. Like there's no way, and then off the right as it hit the bat, everyone knew it was gone, and
That
that's
was
just where it was gonna go.
yeah,
Yeah.
unbelievable. Unbelievable.
All right, we're gonna move into our last section. It's gonna be rapid fire. K Mud is gonna be asking them as short of an answer as you can.
All right.
All right,
I'll try.
K Mud, whenever you're ready, get started.
All right. What's your favorite sport to watch outside of being an AD?
That's hard. Football,
All right. And what's your favorite sport to play?
basketball. So
And what's your go-to pump-up song before a big game?
Oh,
oh man. Um, that's a tough one. I don't know. I'm just thinking Eye of the Tiger, Rocky Balboa.
Okay.
Mhm.
Big Rocky fan.
Uh-huh.
And before a game, would you rather drink coffee or an energy drink?
Coffee all the way.
Mhm. And what's the most stressful sport to oversee?
Um, stressful wise,
Mhm.
they're all pretty unique. So I can't even pick one.
Yeah. And Friday Night Lights or Friday Night Hoops basketball?
Oh,
ooh.
You won't be hurting anybody's feelings.
No.
We're telling you that
No.
right now. No feelings will be hurt.
no feelings are hurt. Friday Night Lights probably. I mean, those are
Yeah.
pretty special.
Okay.
Yeah. And I feel like we all know this one, but what's the biggest rival school?
Oh, um, well, I mean, obviously Lincoln's the rival that everybody says, but to be honest,
Yeah.
but to be honest with you, I don't look at them as a rival as much as I want to be. We want to be better than De La Salle. So obviously,
Oh, yeah.
where I'm hoping my buddy Leo's watching this with De La Salle. Right?
I'll tag him on it.
We
Make sure
want
to tag him on
we want to try to be as good as them.
Mhm.
Okay.
And what's the weirdest pregame superstition or ritual you've seen or heard of?
Not washing your socks. Obviously, baseball guys won't wash their socks for
Yeah.
for 10 games. That's
And what's your favorite athlete of all time? Like it could be in a high school player, college player, professional.
yeah, that's easy. Michael Jordan. There's no one,
There
Michael
you
Jordan.
go.
Yep.
That's
no
Go.
one like him. And
Hmm.
I was you got to remember I was a 1990 guy, so I
that was
watched.
the heyday.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. And if you weren't an athletic director, what would you be doing?
Hopefully sitting on a beach, not doing anything, in the stock market. But no, I'd probably just be a teacher. I mean, I love kids,
Hmm.
so I'll just be an educator.
Yeah. Um, what one word from your coaches, what would they describe you as?
Enthusiastic.
And what's your favorite post-game snack or meal?
Mm, Chipotle.
Ooh.
And
Mhm.
that's a good one. What sport would surprise people that you enjoy?
Um, the weird thing is, I mean, I don't know if it's surprising, but I really enjoy watching volleyball, boys and girls
Yeah.
volleyball. It's
Hmm.
those are people don't understand how exciting volleyball is to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boys and girls.
Yeah,
All
Yeah.
for
right.
sure. Well, that's all we got for our rapid fire. We want to say thank you
Mhm.
very much for being on with us and being
Yeah.
our
Thank you, Adam.
Yep.
first
Thank
special
you.
guest.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
First guest.
So,
First
Thanks,
guest.
first
guys.
guest.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I love what you guys are doing. Back in the day, we had I think it was called SJTV.
Mhm.
So I hope this really picks up because this is good for our community and it's good
Yep.
for the coaches and the kids. Thanks a lot for doing this, guys.
Of course.
you.
And that's the plan. We're going to keep trying to climb and climb. And as we move into basketball and
Yep.
football season and doing all that. So we just like to say thank you again for joining us. And I
Yep.
know it's a little bit late
Like,
and you had a long day, but thank you.
All right. Thanks,
Yep.
guys. Appreciate
Thank
it.
Alrighty.
you.
Yep. So last thing is please for everybody, please like, subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify, please follow. share this with everybody. If you guys have anything to say or if you want to reach out, everything will be in the description. After that, it's pretty much it. Thank you guys.
All right. Thank
Peace out.
you. See ya.
Thank you.
All right.